You know, it's a true story, ladies and gentlemen, since the start of the sport. Some fights are rigged, some fights are criminal in nature, while some fighters are crooks. You couldn't call this guy a crook because he was just trying to make the best money he could, but his participation in different mafia affiliates and criminal affiliates back in the day, he was implicated as well in the Chicago Black Sox scandal in 1919 because his friendship with the great Arnold Rothstein, probably the most important Jewish criminal figure of the 1910s. But when Abe Attell took the ring, we knew that the little Hebrew was going to do a lot. Now, he's often referred by newspapers as probably the greatest fighter pound for pound of his era. The American boxer became known for his record-setting 6-year consecutive reign as world featherweight champion from 1906 to 1912, and his nearly consecutive 10-year reign starting in 1902. Attell was charged with game fixing in the Black Sox scandal in 1919 because of his connection with Rothstein, but the charges were dismissed before trial. And of course, this is referred to a little bit in Godfather Part 2. He was also suspected of other infractions, including fixing fights and using drugs during the fight. Now, 5'4", mostly the featherweight limit, 154 total fights, 110, 38, and 25 draws. 110 wins, 17 losses, 25 draws, 38 wins by knockout, and 2 no contests. Now, born in San Fran on February 22nd, 83, he was the son of Jewish parents. Many sources gave his year of birth as 1884, but an article published in the October 61 issue of Cavalier magazine, he stated that he turned 78 that year. A copy of his passport also gives his birth as 1883, and the 1900 U.S. Census notes he's age 17. Growing up in an Irish neighborhood, he was often involved in fights with neighborhood boys. He said as a kid, he had up to 10 bouts for each day. After his father abandoned the family when he was 13, he sold newspapers to earn money. Selling on the corner of 8th and Market near the Mechanics Pavilion, a frequent visitor for importing boxing matches, Attell watched a fight between Solly Smith and the great Canadian George Dixon for the World Featherweight Championship. With that, Attell and his brother Caesar and Monte became convinced he had futures in boxing. His first professional fight was the age of 17 on August 1900 when he knocked out Kid Lennon in 2 rounds at the San Fran Athletic Club. His mother, who strongly opposed his boxing, later became one of his staunchest supporters, betting on him to win. Now, after winning 10 fights in a row by knockout, he moved to Denver. At the age of 18, he fought the great Dixon and bet him in a 15-round decision after having drawn with him twice before. In 1903, he bet Johnny Reagan in a 20-round decision to claim the previously vacated featherweight title 1 year after young Corbett II vacated. Now, Attell successfully defended his title 22 times between 1906 and 1912, which today remains a division record, as almost the big record for all divisions. Among other opponents, he bet battling Nelson and Johnny Kilbane during this period. He was often called the Little Champ or the Little Hebrew by newspapers. From 09 to 1910, his brother Bonte, called the Nob Hill Terror, held the Bantamweight Championship, making them the first brothers to hold world titles simultaneously. His brother Caesar also fought and was called 2.5 for always giving that amount whenever the hat was passed for charity at a boxing event, which he attended faithfully. During his time as world featherweight champion, he was allegedly involved with gangster Arnold Rothstein. According to some accounts, they became good friends during this period, and allegedly Attell made him a lot of money, either betting for or betting against. Now, when he defeated American champion Jimmy Waltz 3 times in title matches, on September 12, 1907, he won a 10-round decision in Indy. On December 7, 06, he won a 10-round TKO in Los Angeles. And on February 22nd, 1906, for a 15-round decision in Chelsea, Massachusetts, in which Attell badly punished Waltz. Not surprisingly, Attell was in the odds-on favorite for the December 06 fight. He met Attell twice in non-title matches on April 3rd, 1913, in New York, in a 10-round loss by decision, and a October 24th, 1912 match in a 12-round draw in Boston. After the April 3rd, 1913 New York bout, Walsh manager Eddie Keevan filed charges against Attell with the New York Boxing Commission, stated that Attell had used eye gouging against Walsh during the fight, and nothing ever proven. Now, when he lost his world featherweight title to Johnny Kilbane in 1912, it was via a 20-round decision. Kilbane had claimed that Attell's handlers put chloroform on the fighter's glove to blind him, although the MASH episode with Trapper John against the Bruiser. Other witnesses claim other illegal tactics were used in the bout. On July 4th, 1913, Attell accidentally hit a referee during a win against Willie Beecher. He finally retired in 1917. He managed one boxer, Marty Goldman. He coached him to a 33-11-3 record in 47 career fights. Now, after his pro boxing career ended, he opened and operated a shoe store in New York City, doing a good business selling to customers, fans, and sporting people who came in to see him. He gave up the shoe business around June 16 to go into vaudeville. Now, his name was later linked to the infamous Black Sox scandal of 1919. He was alleged to have been the bagman for gambler Arnold Rothstein and to have given $10,000 to several Chicago White Sox players. He had in return agreed to throw the World Series with Cincinnati. When the scandal broke in 1920, Attell went to Canada for a year to avoid being subpoenaed, and Rothstein, of course, was never indicted for the crime. Now, in 1920, like talking about this, he was accused of being the messenger between the gangster Rothstein and players of the White Sox during the planning stages of the fix of the 1919 World Series. Prior to the set, Attell had been approached by former fighter Billy Maharg and former MLB pitcher Sleepy Bill Burns, and their bid to get Rothstein to eventually back the fix. The Black Sox scandal was considered a major outrage in sports, and Attell's name appeared in newspaper headlines related to the scandal. He and many White Sox players were formally charged with several counts, including fixing the event. However, Rothstein was never charged. All were eventually acquitted at trial, but MLB banned him from participating in baseball activities at any level. Attell denied having been involved in any talks about fixing the series and convinced the jury that the wrong Abe Attell was accused. Unfortunately, he passed away in New Paltz, New York on February 7, 1970. Now, following the 1919 Major League Baseball gambling impropriety, which did much to taint a spectacular featherweight career, Attell lived a full and extraordinary life. In 2007, McFarland & Company published the first comprehensive biography of Attell, The Fighting Times of Abe Attell, by author Mark Allen Baker. Now, again, he made the Ring Boxing Hall of Fame in 1955, the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in 82, the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in 83, World Boxing Hall of Fame in 81, San Francisco Boxing Hall of Fame in 85, 1990, first class of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Record 92-10 with 18 draws and 45 no decisions, with 51 wins by knockout, earned him a place on the list of Ring Magazine's fighters with 50 or more knockout wins. Now, again, 72 wins, 38 by knockout, 34 decision, 9 losses, 4 by knockout, and 5 by decision. 19 draws, official record, 2 no contests, and newspaper decisions draws, 52. Unofficial record, 154 fights, again, 110 wins, 17 losses, and record with inclusion of newspaper decisions in the win-loss draw column. Last fight, of course, he did was a loss to Phil Vergetz, lost to Willie Beecher in 1952, no contest against Benny Coffin in 1913, lost to Oliver Kirk via Tico 6, lost to Harry Thomas, Harlem Tommy Murphy, Johnny Kilbane, Knockout Brown, and Matt Wells, and a great succession, again, lost to Harmel Tommy Murphy again in his career, Jim Driscoll, which turned him to 68, 8, and 18, Freddie Welch, which he's fought several times, Tommy O'Toole, and it goes on. He lost some fights in the early part of his career, including somebody called Young Ernie in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Tommy Sullivan, Jack McClelland, Benny Anger, Harry Forbes, and again, he started his career with a strong record of 14-0-4. Now, the Yanger's victory against him in 1902 allowed him to claim the vacant World Featherweight title, and he won the World Featherweight title in 2003 with a win over Johnny Reagan. Retained the title a few times, but again lost it to Tommy Sullivan via KO in in 1904. Now, he won the vacant title against Jimmy Walsh in 1906 and held that for numerous defenses up until, again, 1912. Some of these bouts were non-title as well, so there was no belt on the line. Ironically, ladies and gentlemen, this is weird too, and a lot of people don't know, he won the lightweight championship of Calgary with his 89th win against Billy Laudner in a match on September 5th, 1910 in Mission Hill, Alberta. So, unfortunately, against Tommy Kilbane, he got a bad injury. He broke his right humeral bone when the fighters stumbled and fell in the fourth round of his match on January 10th, 1911. He eventually lost the title to Johnny Kilbane on points in a 20-round contest. And again, fought all over the world, ladies and gentlemen, but the lightweight champion of Calgary, I'd like to see the belt for that. So that's the story of Abe Attell. If you want to find something about the greatest featherweights of all time, you got to start with this guy, because George Dixon and him were standard bearers for so many years. Now, was he a criminal with Rothstein? Well, why wouldn't a boxer be involved with the mafia? I mean, that's that could be a job for life, because if your fighter is good, you don't have to bet him on to lose, you bet him on to win. Like I said, that's what the Graziano thing, losing a fight or Lamada. You get a good fighter, you want him to win. You put him against, tomato cans, and that's where you make the money. But he was fighting the best of the best, ladies and gentlemen. But I think there should be a miniseries just on Arnold Rothstein. Get a Russell Crowe type character to play him, it'd be great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, we're a boxing vintage podcast. Let us know what to like, comment, subscribe, or share.